Welcome everyone to today's interesting section. Welcome everyone to today's interesting section. Guys, let's start joining live. Let's start connecting as we go live in today's interesting and wonderful section. So please, I'm waiting for others to actually connect live with us in the course of today's section so that we go live together as we ride on with what we're about to talk about in today's wonderful and interesting conversation. Please, let's start journey, let's start journey as we'll be looking at this project. We'll actually be analyzing this project on gate.io today. Well, it's yet to be listed in a few hours from now. It's actually going to be listed on gate.io, so we will be talking about it. What is the use case and all that. Now, project like this actually interesting project to actually invest in. If you're looking out for project that you want to invest in, project that you can invest in, these are projects that actually very good for you to actually invest in. If you're looking at projects to actually look out for in investing in and order. So we'll actually be analyzing this project today to be getting what is the project really all about, what we need to know about it in the course of today's interesting section. So along the way, if you have any question whatsoever, if you need any clarification as we move ahead in the course of today's section, you're free to ask on the chat box, in which justice will be done as we move ahead in the course of today's section. If you have any question whatsoever, please, you can do it by asking on the chat box, in which justice is going to be done as we move ahead in the course of today's section. Now, in talking about this project, what is it really all about? Now, let's go to get.io and see what we have on board. Now, you see, it's yet to be listed on get.io, but that's where you can say coming soon in the next 4 hours. In the next 4 hours, it's actually going to be listed on gate.io. So it's actually a project that you can look out for and others. In the next 4 hours, it's actually going to be listed on gate.io. That is going to be around there is around, let me just say, 5 hours, 4 hours, 46 minutes. That is around that is around 10 a.m. UTC and all that. Is actually going to be listed and all that. So it's actually a good project for us to actually look out for what is the project really all about, what we need to know about it, and all those points are actually very, very important that we need to take note of when talking about this coin. Now, the coin is known as the Karat coin, and the Karat coin. That is what the coin is actually really all about. And if we want to actually get more news about it, if we come to this area here, they've actually given us some description about what the project is actually really all about. Another we have here, you can see it here. So it is actually the largest protocol of CZ cinemas. Now, the Karat has over 300,000 wallets actively transacting. Each users has verified their Web3 and also Web2 ID behavior data. Now, the data is access control middleware developers and senior engineers from Apple, Google, Forbes, and all that serious entrepreneur. The leverage on-chain technology has created a shareable Web2 and Web3 data layer, and also it actually has received elements or kind of investments from institutions such as Bitbyte, CERBX, NEO, Echo, we have Longin Capital, we have Minstone Capital, and others. Now, we also have the Karat inscript users' data such as email, Twitter, link the user's wallet, and others. So all this actually important point that we need to know when trying to explain what are they really all about, what we need to take note about this project and all that. So if we come to this area here to check the fundamental analysis about ability technical analysis about this project, you can see it's based on this. We don't is yet because it's yet to be listed and all that. It's soon going to be listed. That's why we have on gate.io. It's actually going to be listed in the next 4 hours, and it's actually a good project. So if just imagine investing in this project right now, it's actually a good project to actually invest in. We'll actually be looking at, we'll also be looking at the white paper. What is the white paper for the project? What we need to take note of when looking at the project? What are the basic points we need to take note of when looking at the project and other? Now, looking at the white. Looking at this area here, what we can see it here. We say that this is the largest ZK synonym and order. It has over 3,000 active wallets and order. So these are actually what they are actually really all about. You can see it here. You can see it. We can see here that it has the largest. It has over 3,000 active wallets transacting. So now looking at the project itself, you can see it actually has over 300,000 wallet actively transacting in the ecosystem when looking at it, and this and each users has verified their web3 wallet and also their web2 ID behavior data when looking at it. All these points are actually very, very important that we need to take note of when talking about the project, when talking about what they are actually really all about, what we need to take note of them, and all that. Is very, very important that we take note of all those factors when talking about this project. What are they really all about? Now, in talking about, you can actually see it. So you can actually see what we're actually talking about here. Now, so it's yet to be listed on gate.io. So in the next 4 hours thereabout, it's actually going to be listed on gate.io in the next 4 hours to go. In less than 4 hours to go, it's actually going to be listed on gate.io, which is actually a very good project that we can actually look out on for investing. Now, because now looking at them, it's not a project that is just they've actually been on board, and because look at it now, they have actually have over 3,000. For a project to actually have over 3,000 wallet actively transacting, that should tell you that they've actually been building a lot of stuff over the time and all that. And also each users verify their web3 wallet and also their web2 ID behavior data and other, which is one important point that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem, when looking at what are they really all about, what we need to take note of them when talking about the ecosystem. It is very, very important that we take note of all those factors. Oh, welcome to today's interesting section. Welcome to today's interesting section. Thank you for joining us live in today's section. Okay, Jane, welcome to today's intro. Please just stay with me as we keep pushing forward in the course of today's section. Just stay with me as we keep pushing forward in the course of today's interesting section. So now, what are we actually talking about this? What is this? You can see it's we can see that each transaction has verified their transaction or their Web3 wallet and their Web2 ID behavior data, and also it's actually the data access control middleware developed by senior engineer by senior engineer when looking at it from the app to or the Google or Forbes and other 30 series entrepreneur. It leverage on-chain MPC and also ZK technologies to create a sharable Web2 and Web3 data layers and all that. And also it's actually receive investment from institution and all that. So we have institutions like BitByte, we have Bitmart, we have Neo Echo, we have Longin Capital and all that. We have Black Bull Venture, we have Minsto Capital and all that. Now the users' data is such as the email. They actually use email and also Twitter link it to the user's wallet and it's stored, and it's actually stored when looking at it and order. So all this point now, this infrastructure is intended for all future dApp that requires web3 social data index, advertising delivery, and long permission call. And also it's actually looking at it and itself, you will notice it's actually a good project when looking at the project itself, when looking at what the project is actually really all about, what are they trying to build and other. All these are actually very important when looking at the project and other. All these points are actually very important that we need to take note of when looking at what the project is actually really all about, what we need to take note of from the project and other. One other point that is very important again that we need to take note, is very important that we take note of. All those points are actually very important that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem. And now looking at it actually has its own ecosystem in which all this is. Now looking at the ecosystem and other, these are the top ecosystem that they have here. You can see it here. You can see the ecosystem that in which they are building on, and this is actually going to be listed soon, very soon, which is actually going to be tradable on Gate.io and all that. So all these points. So now looking at this, looking at the ecosystem themselves, looking at what they've actually been building and all that, they've actually built this, which is around they've actually built this. You can just look at them. They've actually been building over time and all that, and right now they're actually bringing up this coming next. And also all these points are actually very important that we need to that we need to take note of when looking at what they're actually really all about. And now looking at their website, this is actually their website. You can see it, initiating DEX offering, ready to incredible journey with Karat DAO and other rounds to join. We can see what is the Karat network. It's actually a full decentralized data network that connects Web 2 and Web 3. Now what they actually focus on is connecting the Web 2 and the Web 3 together, bringing together what's the Web 2 ecosystem and bringing together and using together the Web 3 ecosystem. That is what that is what the network actually does and other, which is one important point that we need to take note of when talking about what they're actually really all about, what we need to take note of. And they have a lot of the partners that they build together and all that. So let's check the white paper. Let's check, because a project, now one thing you need to understand about going into any project, that you need to understand the white paper of the project. Now there's a white paper of the project. Is it what's going into? Is it what's investing into? Now if the white paper is not something very good or very okay for you to actually invest, it's not advisable for you to actually, so you need to understand, okay, this project I'm actually going into, what is the project really all about? And that is one point that we need to take note of when talking about. Now let's read about this project, let's read about what is the project really all about, to get basic understanding before we actually get deeper understanding or go deeper into what the project is actually really all about and what they're actually building and all that. Now we can see it here. Based on what we can say, we can see the DAO is actually a transitioner, or is actually the crypto native engineer in the Web3 that actually offers a delivery service or marketplace that helps users to take control of their Web3, that help users to take control of their Web 2 and Web 3 data while earning reward. So they actually serve as a kind of a data place or a marketplace that actually help users to actually take control of their Web 2 and Web 3 while actually earning reward using the ecosystem and order. Now with a decentralized data identity protocol. Now the Karat network, users can own and control and manage their data while enjoying this benefit of a permissionless and secure data trading platform, which is one important point that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem and when looking at what are they really all about, what we need to take note of them and all that. All those points are actually very important that we need to actually focus on when talking about it. So while actually enjoying this benefit of a permissionless and secure data in the ecosystem and all that in data trading platform. Now their vision is actually to centralize. It's kind of the central center around empowering users to take control of their digital identity, data, and providing a kind of a secure and decentralized platform for data trading and order, which is one important point that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem, when looking at what are they really all about, what they are actually building. All those factors are actually very, very important that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem, or when trying to explain what are they really all about. How can we actually take note of them and all that? It is very, very important that we take note of all these factors when talking about the ecosystem and what they're actually really about. Now, providing a more secure and decentralized platform providing a more secure and decentralized platform when looking at it, and also apart from that, and also an encouraging developing of DApp on top of a decentralized data as a kind of identity protocol when looking at it. So all these points are actually very, very important that we need. So now it actually targets users who are diverse, including Web3 projects, innovative Web3 adventures, and also the apart from that, also individual looking to manage their identity, their digital identity and data securely, which is one important point that we need to know, when we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem, or when looking at what are they really all about, what actually are they building and others. Also, they offer a kind of a wide range of service to help these users solve their main points, their pain points and another, such as collecting and managing wallet address for events, accessing insightful data in their wallet dashboard, and also launching token or NFT airdrops when looking at the ecosystem, or when looking at what are they what they're actually really about, what we need to take note of them and others. So all these factors are actually very, very important that we need to take note of when looking at it and others. So one other point that we need to know is that they actually have 4 product area. And it's actually it's actually interrelatable and also compelling when looking at it. And also you can see that it's actually as a kind of a core product, or kind of provide the foundation for other products by enabling users to create and manage their digital identity. The Karat form collects and manage users' wallet or users' address, providing users with analysis, user group management, and follow-on campaign. The wallet himself, the wallet dashboard, allow users to access insightful data about wallet that meets their requirement. The airdrop launchpad actually enables users to launch token and also NFT adoption and airdrops of their community and potential audience when looking at. So all these points are actually very, very important that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem, that we need to take note of when explaining what is the ecosystem really all about. How can we actually take control of the ecosystem, which is one important factor that we need to take note of when explaining what are they really all about, or when trying to look into the ecosystem and what they're actually building and so all these points are actually very, very important that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem, and when looking at what they're actually building, what we need to take note of them and others. So it is very, very important. Now, all this is actually, I'm just giving the overview about what the project is actually really about. And the value of this lies in the ability to provide a comprehensive and decentralized platform for managing digital assets, namely identity and data. All these points are actually very. Now, one of the ability of this, the value of it lies in the ability to actually provide a comprehensive. Now, imagine the platform. I'm just trying to get a kind of a comprehensive and decentralized platform. Apart from that, apart from creating a form of a decentralized platform and all that, is actually by managing digital assets, and also namely identity and data, which is one important point that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem, when looking at what are they really all about, what we need to take note of them, how can we actually go about them and others. So all those factors are actually very, very important that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem, when looking at what are they really all about, how can we actually take control of them when looking at the ecosystem and others. So all these points are actually very, very important, very, very important that we need to take note of when explaining what the ecosystem is actually really all about and all that. So please, I believe you guys are following me. I want to hear your comments on the chat box to show that you guys are with me and enjoying what I'm actually talking in the course of this session. Now it's actually going to be listed in few hours from now. Let's check how many hours is left. Let's check how many hours is left and order. So all this point you can see it here in 4 hours 42 minutes. It's actually going to be listed on gate.io, which you can actually trade. You can see it coming soon, and other you have it trading, yes, in which you can actually look out for and to trade it on gate.io. And I've kind of talked to you guys looking at the ecosystem, looking at what they've been building. Use their website, and you can actually go and check out their website. It's actually the white paper and other. So all these are actually important point. These are actually important points that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem, or we're trying to explain what actually is the ecosystem, how can we actually go about it, what are the basic information that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem, or we're trying to explain how we can go about it and so all these actually important points that we need to take note of when explaining what ecosystem. Now we actually say that the value is actually lies in the ability to have a kind of a comprehensive, as a form of a comprehensive and decentralized platform for managing digital assets. So now having a platform that helps in actually managing digital assets is actually one important factor, or one important factor that we need to consider when looking at the market and when looking at what they're actually building, what are they really all about. So all those points are actually very, very important that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem, or when trying to explain what are they really all about, how can we actually take control of them and all that. And also we also have here that by offering a kind of a range of connected product, building on a decentralized data identity protocol, it actually creates a seamless users experience by enabling users to take control of their digital identity and data while enjoying the benefits of a permissionless and secure data and trading platform when looking at it, which is one important factor, which is one important point that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem. And also all these points are actually very, very important. All these points are actually very, very important that we need to take note of. All the actually important factors that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem, when looking at what are they really all about, how can we actually take control of the ecosystem when looking at it and others. So it is very, very important that we look at it. So all these points are actually very, very important that we need to take. So let's get more updates about it. Let's get more update. You can say, okay, they are still working on the white paper. They are still working on the white paper, which you can say the concept is actually coming soon. The roadmap, this is the roadmap here. You can see the roadmap of the project and other. You can see it exciting adventure and other. You can see it here. Validators best test. You can see it's a public test swap. That is what we can see, a public test swap. I also have major exchange landing and other. I think they're around this area because it's actually going to be listed on gate.io in few hours to go. So you can see it here. It's actually, you can see it here and other. So all those points are actually very, very important that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem. What are they really all about? What we need to take note of them. How can we actually go about it? Now looking at the network himself and other, looking at the network himself and what they're actually really all about, you can see it's actually we actually said it before. There's actually a form of a decentralized data identity protocol that allows users, it's decentralized identity protocol, actually allows users to take control of their web 2 and web 3 data while earning a reward for participating Why any reward for actually participating in the network and other, which is one important factor that is very, very important that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem, or when looking at what are they really all about and all that. And also, it is the only data midwave that is fully on chain and provides users with the ability to share and control their data. The network actually opens a limitless possibility in the form of a personal data marketplace, and also apart from that, and also encourage DApp on top of all of it, which is one important factor that we need to consider, or we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem. What is their vision? Now, what is the vision about this? Now, you can't actually be looking at a project that does not have a vision. You can't actually be looking at a project that does not have that does not have a real vision, or does not have a message to pass across to its people. So a project that is coming on board, it has to have a vision. It has to say, okay, this is what they're actually building. This is how we can actually take control of the ecosystem when looking at the market space, or when looking at what they're actually working on. And so it is very, very important that we understand what the project is actually building, what they actually really about, how we can actually take control of the market when looking at it. So all these factors are actually very, very important, are very key when looking at the ecosystem, or when looking at what are they really about, what are they building and other. That is why we have here, okay, now looking at this area, you're looking at what we have here, I'm trying to explain what they've actually been building, what are they really all about and other. It is very, very based on this. Now you can see their vision. Now the vision is to onboard 100 in the vision. One of their vision is to actually onboard 1 million or 1 million, trying to onboard millions of users. That is one of their, this is actually to onboard millions of users when looking at it and other. So all these points are actually very, very important that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem and other. All these points are actually very important that we need to take note of. And also the mission is actually onboard 100 million users into the blockchain by connecting their Web 2 and Web 3 identity, and providing them with an infrastructure, and providing them with the infrastructure to truly own and control their the assets of all their digital footprint and all that. And also looking at the ID, looking at what they're actually really all about, how you can actually go about it, what are the various factors you need to take note of when looking at them. All these points are actually very, very important that we need to take note of when explaining the ecosystem, or we're trying to look at, okay, this is what they actually really all about. This how you can't see me. Maybe it's your internet. I think it's your internet. Kindly check your internet. Maybe my internet. Yeah, your internet is actually bad. You can actually check your internet, because actually I have a good internet here and everything is going well from my hand. So all these are actually very, very important points that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem, or when looking at what they're actually really all about and all that. Also, by connecting the Web 2 and Web 3 identity and providing them with the infrastructure to truly own and control the assets, or their to control the assets of all the digital footprint, ID data, and social and medical and also finance aspects of the ecosystem, which is one important point that we need to actually focus on, that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem. And so all these points are actually very important points that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem, or we're trying to explain what they're actually looking at. Now looking at the digital footprint, looking at the ID, looking at the social ID data, looking at the network on social, looking at the medical, looking at the financial aspect, and that, you will notice that all these factors are actually very, very important when talking about growth, when talking about the ecosystem. What are they really about? What actually are you doing? So by providing users with the ability to share and control their data, the network addresses the lack of control of users lacking experience with a form of centralized data, or kind of internet companies, by empowering users to take ownership of their personal data, and users and use it to take advantage rather than having it exploit and all that. So all in summary, the Terra the network is solve the problem of centralized data infrastructure and also providing users with security. When we talk about security, privacy, control, and that all these are actually important factors that we need to take note of, that are very, very important, that we need to take note of when talking about the ecosystem, or when talking about what they are actually really all about, what we need to take note of them and all that. So it is very, very important that we take note of all these factors. It's very, very important that we take note of all these factors when talking about the ecosystem and all that. Oh, welcome to today's interesting section. Welcome. Thank you for joining us live into this session. I believe you guys are actually learning a lot on what I'm actually dishing out to you guys in the course of today's session. Please along the way, if you have any question whatsoever, if you need any clarification whatsoever, you are free to ask on the chat box, which justice is going to be done as we keep moving ahead in the course of today's session. So please, if you have any question whatsoever, if you need any clarification whatsoever in what we're actually sharing with you guys in the course of today's section, you can do well by asking it on the chat box, in which justice is going to be done. So one important point that is very, very important that we need to take note of. Now let's go ahead to check the next again. We're actually looking at the ecosystem, trying to get what is the market, what is the ecosystem really all about. Now we have it here. Now in getting started, to play the playing method of the network is known as verify and earn, and solve a two distinct role represented by NFT, that is validators and claimers. To participate, you want to become a validator to invite more people to join the ecosystem or to join the network, and also gain greater reward and order. So in which you can actually go over it and check it out and order. So let's check the next. Okay, this is the link out to get their features on what they're actually building, and also all these points are actually very, very important. Like looking at this now, you can see it here. This actually now looking at the echoes, like this is actually network, what they actually be building and all that. And for you to actually get this one, or to actually you have to actually buy the token or buy the native, in which you have it, in which we have it. That is in which you have it here on Karat, which is KAT and all that, in which you can actually trade it on Gate.io. Is actually going to be listed few hours from now and all that. So all these points are actually very, very important. So it's not something that now the gaming period is not actually something that just only the Web2 people or just a particular set of people can actually make use of, and all that. The Web2 users, but the Web3 users is actually working to actually bridge the gap between the Web2 users and the Web3 users, which is one important factors that we need to consider, or we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem and all that. So it's actually achieving a widespread adoption. Achieving a widespread adoption is crucial in the success of the ecosystem. So getting a kind of a widespread adoption is very, very crucial. It's very, very important in the success of the ecosystem, of trying to get the success about on how to actually go about the ecosystem. What is the ecosystem really all about? Now, to encourage participation and incentive contribution and all that, we have to develop an engaging GameFi mechanisms that is supported by dual NFTs and all that. This lower the barrier to entry and motivate users to involve in the network and all that, which is one important factor that we must take note of. When looking at the ecosystem, when looking at what as a ecosystem, what are they building, what are the important factors we need to consider when looking at them and all that. So it is very, very important that we take note of all those points when explaining with the ecosystem, or when trying to get information about how to go about ecosystem, how it's being built, what are the important factors we need to consider when looking at them and all that. So all these points are actually very, very important that we need to take note of. So all this actually how it works. You can see how it works. Validators and verify the rule. A validator and verifier role are essential in building and maintaining a strong, expansive network. You can see the Web2 identity, you can see the inviter and other, you can see reward reward each and all that. We can see it here. Verify social and also earn reward, and also all these points are actually very, very important that we need to take note of when talking about the ecosystem, when talking about what are they. Now looking at the validator, the phase one and all that, you can see it here, you can see it here, you can see how to actually earn and all that. So all this actually very, let's go ahead to look at the tokenomics of the project. Let's look at the tokenomics of this project and all that. Now looking at the tokenomics of this project, you can see it here, the symbol is KAT. The name is Karat token. We also have the chain is actually Z. Is this actually a blockchain? It's actually built on a block known as the ZK synonymous area minute. We also have the total supply of 2 billion if I'm correct, and also we also have the contract address is not yet released, and other the contract address of the project is not yet released when looking at it. So all those factors are actually now looking at the building. Now you can see the contract address of this token is not yet created. Please follow the official this to be aware of. So to get updates about what the project actually really all about is something that you can actually go online to actually get more updates about what are they really all about and other. So you can see the distribution and all, you can see it here. You can see the identity network minute is around 70%. Just imagine huge for mining network and around 70%. We also have here the team is around 10.5% operation, 10% investors, 7.5% advisors, and we have 2% and others. So all these points are actually very, very important that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem, or we're trying to explain what they actually are really all about. How can we actually go about them? What are the different factors we need to consider when looking at the ecosystem and other? All those factors are actually very, very important that we need to take note of and other. Now you can see the token unlocking, the protocol, the portion of the token. The portion of the token and all that, the portion of the token will acquire you initially being in a kind of lock state depends on the airdrops. To unlock this token, active participation within the network is required. So this involve engaging in a kind of on-chain activities like receiving data requests within our data marketplace and more future campage when looking at it and all that. And also it's actually introduced a form of introduction of a verified credentials, which we have bridged the gap between the Web 2 ecosystem and Web 3 identity when looking at it, and each user actually has his own credibility or credential fully on chain, and also with a kind of anonymity or to maintain a full control and ownership of the ecosystem when looking at it. And also all these points actually very, very important. You guys see there, choose to be public or private, nickname from Twitter, Web3 credentials and other. All this was just actually part of what they were trying to build when looking at the areas. And so all these points are actually very, very important that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem, when looking at what they actually really all about and other. All this is actually very, very important that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem and other. So looking at the staking, this is actually the mechanisms. When looking at the staking, you can see the claimer, we have the main liquidity pool. We have from this slide we have the claimers, we have the validators 1, validators 2, validators 3. Then we have the staking and others. So all these factors are actually very, very important that we need to actually take note of when looking at the ecosystem, when looking at what they're actually really all about. How can we actually take control of the ecosystem and all that? It is very, very important that we take note of all these factors. All these factors are actually very, very important that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem, or we're trying to explain how can we actually go about it and all that. I believe you guys are actually following me and getting what I'm actually dishing out to you guys in the course of today. So let's check out we've looked at the tokenomics of the project. Let's look at the futures. Let's look at the futures. And also let's look at the futures, let's look at the futures of this project. And so all this will actually give us an idea if the project is actually something that you can actually go into in investing in. Now if the project is not actually something very real, you can actually say, okay, I want to invest in this project, I want to go into this project to actually invest in. But you went to project like this, you can see the kind of sincerity in the project. You know, okay, this project is actually sincere, this is what this project is actually really all about. Then you can actually go ahead to actually invest in the projects when looking at it. Like this place now, this area here, you can see it, we have here, we can see it, we have the centralized identity, we have data ownership, we have data ownership and control, we have data ownership and control, we have interpolability, we have inscription and security, we have data train and other. All these points are actually their features. This actually give authenticity, this actually brings about authenticity or kind of trust about ecosystem. Okay, this is what we're actually building, this is what we're actually really all about, this is where we're actually driving to. It gives you kind of a trust in the ecosystem when looking at it. So all those points are actually very, very important that we need to actually take note of when explaining the project or when trying to go into it or trying to give idea about this, what we're actually doing, this is what we're actually really all about, another. So all these points are actually very, 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 very important that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem. And that is very, very important that we take note of all these factors when looking at. So looking at decentralized identity, and the decentralized identity, looking at it in itself, looking at the net actually offers a kind of a decentralized identity solution and order that allows users to control the identity without relying on centralized authority. That is one point. So it actually kind of offers a decentralized identity that allows users to have control of the identity without relying on centralized authority, because centralized authority can choose that, oh, tomorrow I don't want to make use, I don't want to be in ecosystem, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. But when you're talking about ecosystem and other, you have control, you have full control of the ecosystem when talking about it and other. Also we have we also have data ownership and control. Now, when we're talking about data ownership and control, we can say the network enable users to own and control and manage their data. Users can actually can set permission for who can use their data, and also can invoke any assets at any time when looking at it. So ownership of data and also control. So you have the control of your data, you have the control to actually own your data, to actually say, okay, this is what I want this is what I want this is how I want to take control of my data, this is what I want to do in my data and all. So all these factors are actually very, very important that we need to take note of, that are very, very important that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem, or when looking at what they're actually really all about, how we can actually take control of the ecosystem when looking at it and other. So it is very, very important that we take very, very important that we take note of all those factors when looking at the ecosystem, when looking at what they're actually really all about, how can we actually go about them and others. So all these points are actually very, very important that we need to actually take note of when looking at the ecosystem, how we can actually go about it, what are the various points that we need to take note of when explaining the ecosystem, or when trying to look at the ecosystem to get an idea on what they actually will about. So it is very, very important that we take note. It is very, very important that we take note of all these factors when talking about the ecosystem in going about it and all that. It is very, very important. And also we also have the interpolability. That is why this also the area in which it allows users to utilize it actually allows users to actually utilize the identity, or to utilize the network when looking at it. It actually allows users to utilize their identity across network, which is one important factor that we must consider when looking at the ecosystem and other. All these points are actually very, very important that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem, when looking at what they're actually building, what are they really about, how can we actually take control of the ecosystem when looking at. So it is very, very important that we take note. It is very, very important that we take note of all these factors when looking at the ecosystem, when looking at what they actually really all about how we can actually take control of them and also we have inscription and security. Now they generally provide a kind of utility for latest inscription technology to users to actually take control of their data. Now the inscription process is a decentralized with a true cryptography powered by lead protocol, ensuring privacy and security when looking at the ecosystem. So all these points are actually very very important that we need to actually focus on, that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem. And other way looking at ecosystem, what are they really building, what are they really all about, and this is very very important. And also we have data, data trading. Now with actually the network, users can effectively trade their data with permissionless way, and also make use allowing the trade to efficiently data trade while maintaining the user's privacy and control, which is one important factor that we must consider when talking about the ecosystem. What are they really all about? And also what is the road? This is just like a question and answer. What is the roadmap ahead? Now this is actually the roadmap. This and also it's actually currently listed on currently exchange, in which they're actually working on currently when looking at it and others. So how can you actually participating? You can actually go to their official website to actually participate and order. You can actually see it here. Now looking at their web, this is actually their website. You can see it here. This is actually their website when looking at. So it's something that you can actually go and actually participate and order. So you can see their airdrops, unlock and share. If you want their airdrops, you can actually go to their website and actually check it out and order. No, okay, the airdrops is actually, there's an airdrop actually currently going on, and it's actually going to end unlock and share airdrops launching. It's actually launching on the 24th, and other the airdrop snapshot date will be postponed to 8:20 and other. That is 8:20. Additionally, looking up and other, so you can see it. You can actually connect your wallet. This is actually the airdrops that they're actually giving out currently and others. All these points are actually, you can see this this is actually their products from Web3 form to collect wallet address, analysis wallet in batch and get insight, create reclaim token and NFT. Just have a camp page. Just this actually their doc image. You can actually go and check this. Actually their image, they have their white paper, and also they have a blog in which you can actually go there to actually get more information about the ecosystem and other. This is actually written in French, I mean in Chinese or thereabouts. So all this is actually very very important that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem and what are they really all about. How can we actually go about it? What are the various factors we need to consider when looking at them and other. So it is very very important that we take note of all these factors. Don't forget, this token is actually going to be, this project is actually going to be traded on Git.io, in which is going to be launched in few hours to come. It's actually going to be launched on Git.io and other platforms. So if you're looking for a platform in which you can actually trade this project, you can actually look out for Git.io and trade this token when looking at it. And also all these points are actually very very important that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem. What are they really all about? How can we actually go about it? What are the basic information that we need to take note of when looking at the ecosystem? So it is very very important that we take note of all these factors. Are actually very very important that we need to actually take note of when looking at the ecosystem. So we've actually come to the end of today's section. Special thanks to everyone that has connected live with us. I believe you guys have gained a lot from what I've actually shared with you guys in the course of today's session. We'll live again tomorrow for another interesting conversation. We'll come together tomorrow and actually learn a lot about the ecosystem. What is the market saying? How can we actually take control of the market when looking at the ecosystem and others? So that is all what we'll be focusing on in the course of today's section. Join me same time tomorrow for another interesting conversation. We'll all come together tomorrow to learn a lot about the ecosystem and other. That is all we'll be talking about in today's session. Thank you so much for everyone else joining us live. See you same time tomorrow for another interesting session. Bye guys, and enjoy the rest of your day. Stay blessed.